Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Grace Jones.
Band.
They're very, very good, actually.
Okay.
This is, we're very proud of all those
Great.
boys. Yeah. How was the concert? Okay.
Whew.
Good.
I almost took my clothes off. If I had one more night, maybe.
Is that right? What is it? They encourage you to take your clothes off, don't they?
Well, let me tell you, I get to feeling so powerful up there, so strong, and they give me such energy back, that it just leaves me, like you say, do whatever. Do what you want with me.
Nobody ever said that to me in my whole life.
How do you attract a man?
Grab him and take him.
How do you want people to perceive you? A lot of people get a little intimidated with you.
Well, it's true. Most of them do. But it takes a strong kind of Scorpio kind of guy, I think, that, that's really secure and doesn't have to worry about his sexuality and all of that kind of stuff.
Me and my buddy, who was my sparring partner, we got hired to do some special work at a rock concert. So one of them was this beautiful black singer, statuesque lady named Grace Jones. But she hired some of us to do special security at her party when she was going to go out and hang out at the nightclubs in Sydney. I didn't really realize right away why she picked this tall, blonde, buff guy to be her special security. But, I found out later that evening. I ended up in her hotel room, missed a few classes the next day. And she was a world-class artist, totally out of my league. That's what I thought. That she didn't agree.
I believe once you really love somebody, you really never stop loving them.
At one time, I would think that I didn't want to do music, I just wanted to do films or visuals, theater and film. I never really thought that strong on music. But after a while, the music gets in your blood, and it's difficult, I think, just to say, forget the music, just going to films like I had originally planned. And I think they both work very well together. I think they're even stronger combined.
Grace Jones wasn't born into the spotlight. Her story began in Spanish town Jamaica in the 1940s and 50s, in a strict religious household. Her father was a bishop, her mother a force, but discipline ruled the home. No secular music, no frivolity, just faith and order. Under the stern watch of her step-grandfather Mas P, Grace's spirit was tested, not broken. That tension between repression and her natural fire sparked a lifelong rebellion. The rules she grew up with became the boundaries she'd later shatter. Every bold move, every shocking look, was a direct response to that early control. Eventually, the family moved to Syracuse, New York, a world away from Jamaica. The cold, industrial city was a shock, but also a chance for reinvention. Grace enrolled in college, but her real education happened on stage. She joined a drama group, finally finding an outlet for her energy. On stage, she could be loud, expressive, and free, her first taste of performance power. Syracuse was the turning point. She found her tribe among artists and outsiders. They saw her spark and encouraged her difference. Her height, sharp features, deep voice, what set her apart became her greatest strengths. The journey from strict Jamaican roots to the drama clubs of Syracuse was more than a change of scenery. It was the birth of Grace Jones, the icon. She learned to turn her pain into power, her difference into art. The seeds of rebellion planted in childhood would soon explode onto the world stage. Grace was ready to define herself, on her own terms. The world just didn't know it yet. Her story was only beginning. From Spanish Town to Syracuse, the transformation was underway. The rebel was rising. She was no longer just a product of her upbringing. She was becoming a force. Grace Jones was about to step into the light, and nothing would ever be the same. The legend was in motion. Syracuse was just the start. Grace needed a bigger stage, so she moved to New York City. The city in the 1970s was wild, electric, and dangerous, perfect for Grace. She dove into the counterculture, absorbing everything, learning from everyone. Her look was undeniable, tall, statuesque, and androgynous. The fashion world took notice, and she signed with Wilhelmina. But Grace didn't fit the mold. She broke it. The industry was confused, so she took her talents to Paris. There, designers like Yves Saint Laurent and Kenzo saw her as a muse. She became a sensation on the runways, transforming clothes into art. Modeling was just a stepping stone. She was a performer at heart. The runway was a stage, but she craved a microphone. She found her world in the clubs, where music, fashion, and art collided. The disco scene gave her direction. Her transition from model to musician was no accident. It was a calculated move. She had the look, the attitude, and now she needed the sound. She started working on music, channeling her theatrical instincts into song. Her deep, commanding voice set her apart. Each track was a performance, each persona a statement. The girl from Spanish Town, the Paris model, the New York club kid, it was all coming together. The stage was set for a new kind of star. Grace Jones was about to rewrite the rules of pop music. The world was watching, and she was ready. Back in New York, Grace Jones was no longer just a model. She was a phenomenon. Studio 54 became her playground, and she its queen. She arrived in outrageous outfits, always making an entrance. Andy Warhol was fascinated. He saw her as a cultural force. Her presence at Studio 54 was legendary, cementing her as a disco icon. But she was there to work too. Her debut album, Portfolio, dropped in 1977. Glamorous, dramatic, and perfect for the dance floor. She wasn't just another disco singer. She was an art house diva. The covers, designed by Jean-Paul Goude, turned her into a living sculpture. Her live shows were theatrical events, cages, wild animals, gravity-defying costumes. She challenged every expectation of a female performer. Aggressive, sexual, and in control, she created a new template for female power in pop. The disco era was short, but Grace's impact was permanent. She had arrived, and the world was changed. Studio 54 was her laboratory. She was the total package: look, sound, attitude. The legend was just beginning. Grace Jones was more than a disco singer. She was a symbol. She was a goddess of fearless self-expression. Her androgyny, her strength, her refusal to conform, she made outsiders feel seen. And she never forgot it. Her music became anthems of survival and defiance. She didn't ask for acceptance. She commanded respect. Her concerts were safe spaces, electric with liberation. She was family to her fans, an ally in every sense. Grace challenged the mainstream just by being herself. She gave people permission to be bold, different, and proud. Her legacy is about more than music, it's about cultural impact. She helped start conversations about gender, sexuality, and identity. Grace Jones remains a beloved icon for outsiders everywhere. As disco faded, Grace Jones evolved. she headed to Nassau's Compass Point Studios, teaming up with Sly and Robbie, the masters of reggae and dub. This unlikely collaboration was magic. They stripped away disco's gloss, replacing it with raw, futuristic rhythms. The result, a sound that blended reggae, new wave, rock, and funk. Grace's voice became another instrument, cold and detached, then soulful and warm. The Compass Point All-Stars created a global sound, and Grace found her place within it. This was more than a new style, it was a reinvention. The partnership defined the next phase of her career. The music was years ahead of its time, electronic yet organic, pop yet experimental. It influenced artists across genres, from trip-hop to alternative rock. For Grace, it was a declaration of independence. She shed her disco skin and emerged as something far more dangerous and exciting. The sound of the future was born in the Bahamas. Grace Jones was unstoppable. The Compass Point sessions produced a bold break from disco. Grace deconstructed daring covers, rebuilding them with Sly and Robbie's rhythms. Then came her masterpiece. Iconic tracks like Pull Up to the Bumper and I've Seen That Face Before defined her sound. The album blended reggae, new wave, and electronic textures. Sophisticated, sexy, and dangerous. It wasn't just an album, it was a world. Followed, pushing her sound further and paying homage to her roots. These 3 albums formed a creative holy trinity, one of music's most influential runs. In 1985 arrived a conceptual, biographical project. The title track became a massive hit, and the album blurred the lines between music, art, and autobiography. Grace's legacy as an innovator was cemented. She wasn't just making records, she was building monuments to her myth. Each album was a reinvention, a risk, and a triumph. She set the standard for artistic evolution. The world was still catching up. Grace Jones was always ahead. Her sound was timeless. Grace Jones was made for the big screen. Hollywood came calling, but she never played the girl next door. As Zula in, she was fierce and unforgettable. In, she stole the show as Mayday, strong, intimidating, iconic. Her roles were tailor-made, seductive, terrifying, visually stunning. She brought performance art to film, blending horror, fashion, and power. Grace wasn't a traditional actress, she was herself on screen. Her film career was selective but impactful. She chose roles that played to her strengths and defied Hollywood norms. She created a gallery of unforgettable female characters. Her power and artistry couldn't be contained by one medium. Grace Jones was a true multimedia artist. Her legacy in film is as bold as her music. Grace Jones's influence is everywhere. Her genre-blending sound laid the groundwork for entire movements: trip-hop, industrial, experimental pop. She showed artists they could mix it all up and create something new. Her fashion and visual art collaborations with Jean-Paul Goude are iconic. She redefined what a woman, especially a black woman, could look like. Androgyny, muscularity, blackness, she made them powerful and high fashion. Every pop star who plays with gender walks the path Grace carved. She pioneered the art of the music video, creating immersive experiences before MTV. Her videos were short films, her image a weapon and a work of art. She set the standard for multimedia pop stardom. Her attitude, fearless, uncompromising, independent, inspired generations. She controlled her image, her sound, her career. That spirit of independence is her greatest gift to artists who followed. She taught them the power of being unapologetically yourself. Grace Jones isn't just an influence, she's an inspiration. Her legacy is alive in every bold artist today. She is the blueprint. After the 1980s, Grace Jones stepped back, but never disappeared. She waited for the world to catch up, and it did. In 2008, she returned with a triumphant, critically acclaimed comeback. Even in her 60s, her live shows were electric, her presence unmatched. The comeback wasn't nostalgia, it was proof she was still vital and relevant. In 2015, Her autobiography revealed her story in her own words. Candid, funny, and honest, it added new layers to her myth. Why does Grace Jones remain iconic? She's timeless. Never defined by one era or style, she's a force of nature. She represents reinvention, integrity, and the courage to be different. In a world of fleeting trends, she's the real deal. Grace Jones has lived her life as a work of art. From Spanish Town to Studio 54, from Paris to the Bahamas, she's always marched to her own rhythm. And that rhythm will never fade. The legend endures.
Now one of the most versatile, extraordinary looking and startling figures in the flamboyant world of pop culture. She's Grace Jones, the American model, rock music singer and cabaret star who last night made her British stage debut at the Drury Lane Theatre in London.
She used to call it disco theatre, but now she calls it her one-man show. Grace Jones, a Jamaican who mostly works in New York, is a tall, startling Amazonian figure who is famous for her looks and lifestyle long before she became a heroine of the smarter rock set. I mean, when you first left Jamaica and moved to the States, did you imagine at all you'd end up like this? I mean, what were your ambitions in those days?
Be a teacher, a nurse or something.
Because you came from a fairly straightforward background in Jamaica, didn't you?
Yes. Still straightforward. So you think the normal things. I think girls rather think of getting married, getting married, having kids, or being a nurse, or a teacher, some kind of help, When
you got to New York, what was your initial ambition then? To simply escape from Jamaica and that sort of lifestyle?
Yes,
to enjoy yourself? To do what?
It was an escape, definitely.
Because for a long time, and you were obviously labelled as the disco queen or a disco queen.
Yeah, well, I hated always that label, I hate labels anyway.
Do you hate disco as such still?
No, I wouldn't say. I hate what disco became, the visual image. It was a rather cheap, but I don't hate that. Oh no, that's still the heartbeat of music.
Did the disco movement as a whole collapse or lose direction in America then, or became boring?
No,
or
it
what?
evolved into something. It became something else,
Whether square hair, masculine overtones, and bizarre behavior, Jamaican-born singer Grace Jones has made a lasting impression on the music scene.
Well, when Don sent me the book to read, I think, Interview with the Vampire, and I read that book, and I was just totally blown away. It was just so intense, and I thought that if I could, create that kind of a vampire, one with memories and feelings, and just not give it the same dimension as all the other vampires, just with the teeth and that's it. No kind of background or history. So Katrina does have a history. I mean, and in the book Interview with the Vampire, there was such a storyline, which made it really interesting.
Gentlemen, I give you Katrina.
Now, Jones is exploding on the movie screen, where she follows her critically acclaimed performance in A View to a Kill with a new comedy horror, Vamp, where she creates the most unusual striptease vampire to ever draw blood.
I figure I might as well have a vampire that doesn't look like any other vampire, meaning she has paintings of herself all over. She's constantly changing every 5 minutes, different hair, different eye colors, just having fun, because she really is a narcissist. I'm trying to see which light I'm supposed to walk into.
Jones doesn't have any lines in Vamp, so she was forced to rely strictly on her body movements and appearance to create her character. To do so, she enlisted the aid of her friends, including New York artist Keith Haring, who painted her body in his characteristic style.
Upcoming album is called Slave to the Ribbon. She's also starring in the latest James Bond film, The View to a Kill, which opens nationally on May 24th. Would you welcome, please, Grace Jones. You're all safe down? What did the censor board get to you before you came out
Yeah,
here?
they sure did.
Well, sorry, we're on late night.
But I told them to put a lot just to make sure that it could stay
it's
on.
good to meet you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, I know some old friends of yours, you know.
Is that right?
Not
That's
your
always
wife, though.
that always sounds like a leading question. Do we have common friends?
Well, yeah, there was a Mr. Hankin. One night we were going to have dinner together.
That's right. But never did.
Never did, no. I think I had to leave town or something.
Now, we have never really met before. Let me ask you a question. I understand, Grace, that when you were on a talk show in London, there was some kind of brouhaha, and you beat up the guy on the show. Is that true? And if it is, tell me why, because I don't want to make that mistake.
You know, it's funny. Everyone has a different opinion. Everyone that saw the show, I've had people, most of the people raved and said, my God, I'm so happy that somebody finally clapped that guy, and you should have really turned him, not just hit him, but turn over his chair and turn over the table and everything, because he really treats people badly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always rude to his guests. I mean, this is how he gets off.
So you just... So you zapped him, huh?
So I did. Well, first I threatened him, and then he totally ignored me.
Yeah.
And I just felt, my God, I flew so far to do this show, and I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was working so hard. Like today, I just came from shooting this Honda commercial. That's why I'm still dressed like this.
Yeah.
And I just, it was like the last straw. And he wouldn't talk to me on the show.
Well, I'm talking, Grace.
Stupid. No.
I'm talking. You notice how I'm talking?
Where you go from here on in, people are going to demand you to be physical and throw people around. How are you going to cope with all that?
What do you mean? In the movies, fantasy, or in real life?
Well, both.
What do you want me to throw you around? Is that what you expect, is it?
But some believe my most explosive performance was on the Russell Harty Chat Show.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
No, your accent is a bit foreign. Oh, dear.
I'd never produced a chat show before. I decided to do it differently, so the first guest was here, and the other guests came along there.
And all of a sudden, Russell was turning his back to me and completely ignoring me.
And she just said, don't turn your back on me. And he said, well, I have to turn my back on you because some idiot producer's gonna put the guests there.
She says that she's just met you.
Don't turn your back to me.
Well, he's got to. She says. He
said, if you do it one more time, I don't know what I said I was going to do. And it just ended up that he did it again and again and again.
If you turn your back to me one more minute. Really.
I have got to talk to this.
This has been going on too long already.
Well, it's only going to go on about another 6 minutes, and you're going to have another little part of it soon.
Maybe I should go right now.
No, don't go right now unless you really want to.
Well, don't turn your back on me anymore.
I can't look at you. Now, hold.
God rest his soul, but I mean, I didn't know it was going to turn out like that.
Just
move your chair back a bit or something.
I just wanted some respect. My mouth gets me in a lot of trouble.
But that's why we love you, Grace Jones.
Yeah.
Who's that? Miley Cyrus.
Yeah? Oh, no. What? This is unreal.
Rihanna.
Grace
Jones.
Oh, yeah. This one really
this
piss me off. And the fan, this is supposed to be blowing, so she didn't even do it right. The fan is supposed to be blowing. It's just limp.
Limp. Lady Gaga.
I know. I got really upset with that.
Lady Gaga asked to collaborate with you. You said no. How come?
I met her once. I saw absolutely no personality at all. I just see things being tried on in her as if she's an empty vessel and trying to find herself. When you find yourself, then you come and show me something. Well, I took a lot of chances. I just did what I felt like doing. I went against, if someone said to me, go right, I went left because left felt better for me. Going right felt better for them. So a lot of times you're told to go in a certain direction And that direction, and you're looking up to these people because, you know, they're advising you, for example, but a lot of times they have their own agendas. I just followed my own because at the end of the day, I'm the only one I can have regret with.